Hey guys, what's up? I'm Erin and welcome back to the channel. Is Social Security a ticking time bomb? Is it something that you can outlive, or is it a lifelong safety net? Today we are going to cut through the noise, the myths, and break down the facts you need to know to plan comfortably. Let's state this one right at the top. Social Security isn't going to end, but full benefits are at risk without changes. The 2025 Trustees Report says that the Retirement and Survivors Trust Fund is projected to be depleted in 2033. At that point, payroll taxes would cover about 77% of scheduled benefits. And without changes, this would be a steady and continuous cut, trending towards 72% by the end of the century. Social Security is not pre-funded. It's a pay-as-you-go system where today's workers support today's retirees. And the trust is there as a buffer. It's not an account that has your name on it. Bankrupt is really the wrong word. Even if reserves were to be completely depleted, it doesn't mean benefits would stop. It would mean that they would just be smaller, unless Congress acts, which they will. If Congress didn't act, this would simply mean that benefits would reduce to match revenues coming in. Now, the fear of outliving your money, or even outliving Social Security, is very real. Once you step away from the workforce, you no longer have a paycheck coming in, and now suddenly it's your investments and Social Security that have to carry you for the rest of your life. And for the vast majority of Americans, Social Security is a big piece of that puzzle. If you reach age 65, the average life expectancy is another 18 to 21 years. That means living well into your 80s, around 83 for men and 86 for women. And while money certainly isn't everything, it is one of the things that makes so many other things possible, and that's why we talk about it. Let's also talk about demographic changes. When Social Security was created in the 40s and 50s, there were more than 40 workers paying in for every retiree collecting benefits. Today, that number is just 2.7 workers per beneficiary. By 2040, it's projected to fall to about 2.3. That's a shrinking ratio, fewer workers supporting today's retirees. And this is one of the primary reasons Social Security is experiencing a funding gap. It's not that the program is disappearing, it's that the math has gotten much tighter. So the big question, can you outlive it? No. By design, Social Security pays as long as you live. You cannot outlive it. The risk here is not that checks will stop, it is that they would shrink if Congress doesn't act, which Congress will act. If your full retirement age is 67, claiming early at 62 cuts your benefit by 30%. Waiting beyond full retirement age earns about 8% more per year up to the age of 70. On average, the break-even point between claiming early at 62 and full retirement age tends to fall in your late 70s, and between claiming at full retirement age and 70 tends to hover around the early 80s. But of course, it depends on your individual payment, taxes, spousal rules, cost of living adjustments, but these tend to be where those break-even ages fall. Let's put some real numbers on this. If you started collecting Social Security in 2025 at the current average benefit of $2,010 per month, and you received that exact amount every single month for a 30-year retirement without any cost of living adjustments factored in, that total would come to over $723,000. Now let's layer in cost of living adjustments. If we assume Social Security's own long-range projections of about 2.4% annual cost of living adjustments, that same 30-year retirement would pay you over $1 million in lifetime benefits. And by the end of that period, your monthly check would have grown to over $4,000. That is a huge difference just simply from these annual cost of living adjustments. Social Security is incredibly valuable to Americans, and it's one of the primary reasons Americans are able to retire at all. Now, in the personal finance space, we often hear that people are told to plan as if Social Security isn't going to be there, or that it's just going to be icing on the cake. And the idea here isn't that Social Security is disappearing. Instead, it's to encourage you to be aggressive with your saving, to build up a retirement so strong that nothing can shake it. But by the time you retire, Social Security will be there. The reality is, Social Security is likely to be a very large piece of your retirement puzzle, whether you are a high, mid, or low income earner. It can easily represent a $500,000 or $1 million or even higher decision for a household. The numbers we just talked about can show you how powerful and reliable this program really is. For example, let's say you want to spend $70,000 a year in retirement. If you had to fund that entirely from your own portfolio and you were comfortable using a 4.7% withdrawal rate, you would need a portfolio of nearly $1.5 million. That's a pretty audacious portfolio, and the reality is most Americans enter into retirement with far less saved. Let's layer Social Security into this picture. If you receive a benefit of $2,000 a month or $24,000 a year, your portfolio only needs to cover the remaining $46,000 a year. At a 4.7% withdrawal rate, that brings your portfolio need down to about $979,000. Now let's take it one step further and talk about a dual income household. Here, each person receives that same $2,000 monthly benefit. That's $48,000 a year from Social Security alone. Now your income gap is only $22,000. To fund that gap from your investments, you'd need a portfolio of just $468,000. That's the power of Social Security. It dramatically reduces how much you need to save in order to have a comfortable, well-funded retirement. But let's walk through a what-if scenario. I don't think this will happen, but let's do it as an example. Benefits aren't eliminated, but let's say that they're reduced to 75% of their current payout. What would that look like? Instead of receiving $2,000 a month, you now receive $1,500 a month. That's $18,000 a year. To reach $70,000 of annual spending, your portfolio now needs to cover $52,000. At a 4.7% withdrawal rate, you would need about $1.1 million invested. And if you're in a dual income household, each spouse would be receiving $1,500 a month. That's $36,000 for the year. Your income gap is now $34,000. To cover that gap, you would need a portfolio of about $723,000. So yes, you can see that the portfolio need does increase dramatically if we have a reduction in payout, but you can still see that we do have a much lesser portfolio need even if Social Security payouts are at 75% of their current scheduled benefits. It goes a long way towards easing the burden of your portfolio. Let's talk about why Social Security is so powerful. For every dollar you receive of guaranteed income, it directly reduces how much you need to have invested in your portfolio. If we assume a 4.7% withdrawal rate, then every dollar of guaranteed annual income is worth about $21.28 in portfolio assets. Here's how that plays out. $1,000 a month in Social Security, or $12,000 a year, replaces about $255,000 you would otherwise need in your portfolio. $1,500 a month, or $18,000 a year, replaces about $383,000. $2,000 a month, or $24,000 a year, replaces over $500,000 of needed investments. Now there is nuance. If you're comfortable with a higher rate of withdrawal, those portfolio equivalents get even bigger. Because you're willing to take more from your investments each year, guaranteed income covers more ground. But if you prefer a lower, more conservative withdrawal, the portfolio equivalent shrinks. Either way, the point is the same. Social Security is essentially the equivalent of hundreds of thousands of dollars you would otherwise have to come up with on your own and have set aside in a retirement fund. Now, I want to reiterate that I am confident that Congress will take action to shore up Social Security. But if you want to be conservative with your retirement planning, one of the ways you can do that is to run your numbers assuming a reduced benefit. And yes, this does mean you would have to save more. And if you're early in your career and you want to plan as if Social Security won't be there at all, no problem. That's a very conservative way to approach it. But likely, once you reach retirement, Social Security will be there, and it won't simply play a role in your retirement. It will likely play a starring role. But there's nothing wrong with taking a conservative approach because no one ever got to retirement and said, oh darn, I have too much money. And even if the worst did come to pass, that's a reduction in benefits, not a complete disappearance of benefits, you would need to have more in savings to maintain your same standard of living. But here's the thing, it would be marginally more, not exponentially more, and that's the important thing to focus on. Let's go back to our previous example. For a single income household receiving full Social Security benefits of $2,000 a month, you'd need a portfolio of about $979,000 to cover $70,000 annual lifestyle. But if benefits were reduced by 25%, bringing that benefit down to $1,500 a month, the portfolio need would increase to $1.1 million. That's a difference of roughly $127,000. Now, for a dual income household with each spouse receiving the full $2,000 benefit, the portfolio need was about $468,000. With a 25% reduction, those combined benefits would fall to $3,000 a month, or $1,500 per person, and the portfolio requirement would jump to about $723,000. That's an increase of about $255,000. So yes, the cuts would mean that you would need to save more, but notice that it's incremental, not exponential. Social Security, even at a reduced benefit, still provides a good cushion. Now, there are plenty of proposed fixes on the table and plenty of levers that Washington debates, and they're not just theoretical. Raise the taxable earnings cap so more wages are subject to Social Security taxes, increase the payroll tax rate slightly or add a surtax, adjust the cost of living adjustment formula, which would slow the growth of benefits over time, or gradually raise the full retirement age for future retirees. Each of these options has trade-offs, and none of them are politically easy. And let's be honest, no member of Congress wants to be responsible for tinkering with Social Security, because even touching Social Security is political suicide. The truth is, many are hoping by the time real action is needed, that it's some other congressman's problem. But adjustments will have to come. Whether that's the formula, whether it's the payouts, whether it's taxes, something has to budge. And the trustees have been very clear. The sooner action is taken, the more gradual and predictable the changes can be. Here's what you can control regardless of Congress. When it comes to your financial life and your retirement, I always like to direct my focus to where I actually have control or influence. So here's what you can control regardless of what Congress does. Diversify your income. Social Security shouldn't be your only pillar. It's important that you're contributing to investment accounts, and I think it's great to go into retirement with a blend of buckets. Maybe you have a tax-free bucket, a deferred tax bucket, and a traditional taxable bucket. This gives you a great deal of flexibility as you go into retirement, and you can decide where you're pulling your income from, and it allows you to control your taxes a little bit better. Also, if you can layer in a pension, well, that's even better. That gives you more stability in retirement. Maybe you share costs with a spouse, or you explore side hustles, consulting, part-time work, or even rental income in retirement. The more variety you build as far as income sources, the less pressure you have on any one income source, including Social Security. Consider delaying benefits. Waiting to claim increases your guaranteed base for life and boosts survivor benefits as well. Even delaying your retirement by a year or two, or easing into retirement with some part-time work, has a huge impact. It can dramatically reduce the strain on your portfolio and give your investments more time to grow. Plan for longevity. Don't just plan for the average. Assume that you will live well into your 90s or maybe even to 100. Also, be willing to be flexible with your withdrawal strategy. Maybe you introduce some guardrails and you withdraw more when the market is up and less when the market is down. Keep a cash buffer. This protects you from being forced to sell investments, especially early on in retirement. And keeping a cash buffer is honestly one of the best things you can do to protect your portfolio for the long term. Rerun your numbers every year. During your working years, model what it looks like to claim at 62, what it looks like to claim at full retirement age, and what it looks like to claim at 70. The market performance varies every single year, so over time, maybe your plan changes. The goal isn't to predict every single twist and change that may come to policy. Instead, it's to build a retirement plan that is completely unshakable, one that survives no matter what the government does. Social Security isn't going away. You cannot outlive it. The real question is, how much of your retirement will it cover? And if you approach that conservatively, you'll build a plan that will give you confidence no matter what happens. What are your thoughts? Share them in a comment down below. I post new videos every single week. If you got anything at all out of this one, please give it a like. If you're new here, please consider subscribing. Or if you know of someone who might get something out of this type of content, please consider sharing. I'll see you soon. Bye. Security in 2005. It's 2025, but I did graduate in 2005. 20 years. Nothing will make you feel older than that. Let's 20-year high school reunion. No, I didn't go. I was not popular in high school, so we're not going to go back to those days ever. Some people shine in high school. I was incredibly shy, and it was an awkward phase of life. But I have personality because of it. There were acne and glasses and braces. It was just, it was not a good time. And I was teased all the time. I'm a perfectionist, and yeah. I never missed a single day of school, kindergarten through senior year. Yeah. My kid's gonna miss one day of school every single year just so he doesn't repeat that.